Welcome back to another episode of the Future of Golf podcast, where we talk to the brightest minds in the golf industry every single week. This episode is no different, and this is our first guest in the Asian golf industry. Since I'm out in Bangkok now, where I'm based full time, I thought it would only be fitting to get someone who's very prominent in the Thai golf industry as our first guest out here. So this week, it's a pleasure to be joined by Michael Moir, who is the founding director at Fenix Excel, which distribute high quality clothing to golf clubs and also to high quality brands as well. So, Michael, pleasure to have you on the podcast. How are we doing today?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good. Another hot day in Bangkok.
Always is. Yeah, I've heard this is getting into the cooler season now, relatively, but it's still 28 degrees.
Yeah, I think as next month should be really, really good, but it's still the rain season. It's just the humidity's off the charts right now as well. So come November, December, it's the best place to be by far. So
I'm still
only a
getting
few
used
months
to
to go.
Absolutely. So Michael, thank you very much for taking the time. I think today we're going to dive into your story really and how you've cracked the market in terms of your clothing. And you're obviously in this trusted inner circle of people who are respected in the industry now. But you obviously had a lot of steps to get there. And I first came across you in the conference that we went to in April, where you told your story and the obvious highs and lows of starting a company, which many people, when they see the end product, they don't perhaps have appreciation for.
Yeah.
So before we get into maybe what you do right now, it'd be really interesting to go back to perhaps the start of your journey, and maybe go into when your first taste of golf was, and obviously you started in Scotland, and how you ended up in Asia.
Yeah, sure. So as long as I have to go through the whole thing, because it was a bit of a tough presentation when I did that, but I'll try and scale it down a bit. But
I'll bet it.
no, I played golf as a junior in the US, in the UK. Got really into it around 13, 14. Started playing in the district squads. Playing in more competitive events and everything as well. That led to me getting a scholarship in the US. I went over there and just realized how far off I was from thinking I was pretty good. And even though I wasn't top in Scotland, the work ethic and the way that everyone approached it was very different from me. I was too young, 17 years old, going into Florida, with the time of my life really, but it wasn't focused on golf of what I should have done. Looking back now, I do have regrets, but I think that, I had to be realistic about the fact was I didn't believe that, I could be a professional golfer just on the, my way of approaching the game wasn't what's needed to do it as a career. So I'm really glad I am in the golf industry because it's still something I know and I'm part of. But it just shows that playing golf is not the end all of being in golf industry. There's so many different ways to do it. But after the US, I lost my scholarship, so I had no choice. I was either back to the Aberdeen or go and see my dad in Singapore, who was working there, and I chose Singapore. May surprise some people, but Singapore over Aberdeen was a bit of an easy choice.
Yeah, I can't blame you there for your choice. I think many viewers would maybe change the same, unless you're Scottish based and you might have chose that. But.
Yeah, but I went there and quit golf, didn't play at all, got into a couple other things that were quite amusing at the time to make money. And I've always I've worked for a company once in my life for about 9 months, and that was it. And I've always been doing either independent things or being on commission only and things. So it started off really by when we moved to Thailand. So we moved from Singapore to Thailand in 2006, and I was playing in all these golf events here, and got myself down to a decent standard again. And what I noticed is that every event, the goodie bag you got was a shirt that you would throw away, a cap that was terrible, and there was no real priority put on giving somebody some merchandise that can be branded and people will wear again. So I just had the thought about creating, a custom golf range where pretty much whatever you need, I can make it. There wasn't really an intention to have a brand or anything as well. It was, this is going to be a sideline business. Let me try and kit out a few tournaments and things like that we do. And the feedback was great because at the time in 2008, 2009, Nike, Adidas, and a few other brands were mainly making here. So pretty obvious what you do is you kind of take a Nike shirt and say, I want to, where can I find this? So that's how I started. And then what it led to was just, I was interested because it was back in golf again. It was something I had a passion for. And all of a sudden, I had people saying, can you do it for my company? Can you do this event, that event? So it was turning into kind of a business. And then players started kind of like, I knew some guys on tour and they said, well, why don't you start a brand, see how it goes. So it all just kind of went unintentionally into something that we created, Fenix Golf. So
Mm,
it was FX with a golf club, and phoenixgolf.com started, and we were in the golf industry.
mm.
Um,
Yeah.
we managed to then get distributors. We managed to get Scott Henn was our first main player to wear Phoenix, and he won within the first couple of years. We got involved with the Asian tour. We were pretty much everywhere. I mean, you know, to the point where, like I said in the presentation, perception was great because we had people sponsoring and we were doing everything, but we were losing money all the time. And it was bootstrapped by me and one other partner I had at the time. No financial, investment or anything as well. So on the outset, things looked like we were massively growing and we were doing well. But on the inside of the company, genuinely speaking, I really had no idea what I was doing. I was speculating that sponsoring 30 pros and sponsoring this event was going to bring in more business for me, but the numbers didn't really add up. So at the end of the year, we're kind of like wondering what's going on.
Mm,
But that's part of starting a business, as you
mm,
know. Everything I did back then now I think is coming to benefit, if that makes sense, because we've lasted long, we've got some credibility, we've moved from sponsoring everyone and sponsoring events to now being part of events and selling it because we've proven ourselves in the industry and we've got quality product and we've added a few different things as well. So that's the it's a little bit long, sorry, but that's the kind of the short version of why I'm here for so
yeah.
long. So
It's super interesting, and we talked a little bit before the podcast on brand and you know gaining trust within the golf industry, which is
mm,
so tight knit. Like
yeah,
one positive or negative interaction can be your make or break, just depending on what that goes.
yeah.
Um, I know we've talked a little bit before, but do you want to go a little bit into your approach to that? Because I know you mentioned the sponsorship of players and things like that, but what was your approach whenever you started here and arrived when you were fresh faced in Thailand? Coming across from obviously Singapore to break into the industry, and how you made your first steps.
Yeah, so I mean, it was more of like I said, it was a passion. It wasn't really a business at the time, so it was something that was just like it came to me, and and I went out there just with the intent, but also the excitement basically in my words and selling, so people believed in it, and then we came up with the idea, which really is part of our main business now, of doing custom clothing. So instead of you buying a shirt that you can buy in every other shop in town, we'll make a shirt for you that's unique to your tournament. So the key to me was finding our point of difference of providing retail quality product unique for each customer, and that was something that got our foot in the door because you know like I've tried in the UK and the US and every other market, if I just go in with Fenix Excel, private estate we have as well, we're another brand of 1,000 that are at the PGA show selling their own product. So we came in with, okay, we've got Phoenix, we didn't have private estate at the time. If you don't like what we have, we'll make a shirt for you in the same quality material, and it's unique. And that's what really kind of set us aside from everyone as well, offering that type of product.
Hmm. I mean, at least in my experience, what I found, the UK compared to Asia, golf clubs operate in such a
Yeah,
different way. There's
yeah,
cultural differences, and even in countries, there's subsections. You've got your public courses, private courses, membership focus, visitor
yeah.
focus. So there's so many differences. Um, it seems like niching down there and providing different services was pretty important for you.
Yeah, and you've got to adapt to each customer. I mean, like you said, a customer that's got a great member base, you try and attract the members who are going to buy the product. And why would they buy it? And it's doing a members only collection, or to the point of sometimes we put the membership number on the inside of the shirt for each member, because then that's a selling point for them. The tourist courses is all about the design. The logo itself sells, but you have to have a design that's unique to that club, and that's where we've managed to expand out of Asia now really well by offering a shirt that no one else has in any other shop. And that's where I really feel the future of our business is. It is scalable based on what we're doing now, and the customers that work with us and have tried this, year on year, we're developing more product lines. We're not just doing polo shirts. We're doing quarter zips. We're doing hoodies. We do bucket hats and bucket hats to match the shirt and things like that as well. Even shorts, we've done bespoke shorts, and it's just, I like I said, the ego of having a brand, and I want you to wear Fenix XL, and that's it. I've done this too long now. But it's not about that now. It's about running a business that I want to be successful and adapting to each customer's needs. And then if you do that, you can grow.
Yeah. The hoodies and shorts, that's for folks my age. That's the new breed of golfers coming in.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but and it's popular. We just did the merchandise for Wentworth and the BMW, and we did some great hoodies that were for kids, and they look fantastic. And it's just something that, again, once people know what we're doing, it just snowballs as well, because the hoodies themselves, and on the inside of the hood, instead of having the Phoenix logo, we basically had the Wentworth logo inscribed into it. So
Very good.
it's unique to the club.
Yeah, it's such a nice touch, and it shows, as you say, as opposed to coming in and imposing with your own brand, and instead adapting to
Yeah,
their club's logo. It shows a real point of care there, and it like
yeah,
I can understand why there is a breakthrough there, because you go the extra effort to
yeah.
customize the club. Um, but we actually glazed over a big part of it, which was obviously your golf there. So I know you mentioned that you went and you received a scholarship for a college in America. So you're obviously a really decent player.
I was not anymore.
I think you're modest. I think you're
No.
modest. We'll have to see. Um, how big a part is playing golf in your life now? Because I'd imagine you're so busy that you really have to be quite careful when you play.
Yeah, I tend to play at 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m., and try and be off the course by 9:30, where I can enjoy it. And as much as I probably should, I don't really play in the local events anymore, because I just can't. I can't enjoy it, because I'll be checking my emails all the time and doing things, and it's a whole day. You know
Mm.
the
Mm.
the charity tournaments and tournaments they have in Asia are fantastic. I mean, you show up at 10 o'clock and you may be going home at 9 o'clock, and if you've got the flexibility in your life and you're able to, you can have a great time. But the way I am right now, I'm 41 now, and I see the next 4 or 5 years of really, really knuckling down. I've done it since COVID, so I've kind of given myself 10 years to really focus on, growing this business and doing things right. And then hopefully when I'm 50, I can enjoy these golf events and not have to worry about
Yeah.
the phone and the emails. But,
Yeah.
I play now with some friends. I don't have a big group of people now. I would say, a few friends that want to play early with me.
Mm.
And I very rarely, play an afternoon or something. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm really committed to what I need to do right now. And I think trying to distract from that kind of just makes things harder. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's all about prioritization. I think what you're going into there, and you
yeah,
just understand that this brand is the big thing that you're optimizing for in your life
yeah,
right now, and
yeah,
all your energy. I mean, I'm similar with my project right now. I've got the nightlife of Bangkok, but I'm being very disciplined and
yeah,
staying away from it now and just staying focused. But there's something special about getting out in the course early in the morning as well, and saying hello to the greenkeepers when they're finishing up
yeah.
their shift. And you've got the fresh course as well.
Yeah, no, it's great. And again, okay, you maybe wake up slightly earlier than normal, but you know, the mindset of people in the morning who play is everyone wants to get done. So you're
Yeah,
not hanging around. And I mean, even if we don't tee off first, we're still playing in less than 3 hours at Thai Country Club.
yeah,
Um, and although I think it's 60 kilometers from my house, in the morning it takes me no time to get there. And we're still, I mean, I can be back in my office 120-kilometer round trip. If I wanted to, I could be back by 11 o'clock easily. So you haven't missed much of the day. You get out, and like you said, it's not that hot as well. Especially you're getting used to Bangkok. Playing at 6, finishing
yeah.
by 9:30. You're not getting the height of the weather, which helps. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe one for me to take into consideration.
mm,
So, I mean, obviously, Michael, you've been in this industry for almost 18 years now. I think it is. Arriving in 2006. Maybe for someone who is starting in the golf industry, whether it's someone placed at a club and working their way up with ambitions of being a general manager someday, or someone maybe starting their own clothing brands. What bits of knowledge have you acquired? Maybe let's take two that you could possibly pass on to someone who has ambitions of pursuing a career in the game of golf, maybe not professionally, but working for a club or for themselves.
I think if it's related to Asia, I think the most important thing in Asia by far is understanding the culture of each country and how different it is from us in the UK or the US or Australia, or we'll call it the Western world or something. I think if you can adapt yourself and understand and respect the culture and values of the people that in the country you're working in, you'll get a lot further. If you try and come in with how things are in the US or UK, it's just different. It really is different. There's certain parts of not raising your voice in front of people, not calling someone out in a room, just being respectful goes a long, long way here. And if you can understand that, it'll progress your career massively. And especially for people coming from overseas, wanting to work overseas, you've just got to remember you're in someone else's country. I mean, I always tell people the example. If someone came from Thailand to the UK and started shouting and screaming and being rude, they wouldn't be accepted in the UK. So you shouldn't really be able to do it in another country as well. And that's what a lot of people don't really understand of those cultural differences. And
Yeah.
I mean, I was lucky, that I went to the US. I was in Singapore, and I mean, I was fortunate as a kid. We traveled as a family, not massive places, but you understand that, and I think adapting to where you are is one of the biggest pieces of advice. And then, starting in the golf industry again, it's very hard to tell someone, including myself. And you saw my presentation of my weight fluctuation from the start to the finish of, and that weight fluctuation came from going out too late, drinking, doing everything as well that I thought was doing the right thing. But if anybody can listen to when you're young and listen to people who are older than you, you don't know everything that you think you do because things take time and maturity takes a long time as well. But once you can crack through the part of listening to those who are actually successful and putting it into practice, I think that's something that, if I did that 10 years ago, I would be much, much further on with Phoenix than I am now. I mean, I'm happy where I am now, but there's a lot of things that I could have done differently 10 years ago. So,
Yeah, I think a couple of great points, especially on the maturity and respect side of things. I guess us English speakers were quite ignorant and coming to the countries, expecting people to adapt to
yeah,
us, where in fact it's the other way around. It's funny being in Bangkok so far. The only people I've heard their voice level being loud has been Americans so
yeah,
far. So
yeah.
it's just the way it is. So yeah, that's really interesting. So I think maybe to finish up, Michael, obviously this is we're coming into the last quarter of the year. So what are the main things that you're excited for the rest of the year, and then going into 2025? Without blowing your secrets out of the water, what are the next big things that are exciting for you?
I mean, coming up, we've got a great couple of months coming up. Actually, I've got a US and Canada trip, and we've got a lot of really, really good development there going on. In Asia, we're doing the Black Mountain Championship, the International Series Thailand at Thai Country Club. So we're the official clothing for those. We're doing our customer day on October the 27th at Top Golf. So we're planning to have about 150, 160 people to launch our 2025 collection, but also do a thank you day to customers. So that's something that we've never done before, but we're looking forward to. And then I mean, we've got a lot of plans in for next year, new distribution partners that we're close to signing agreements with, developing the countries that are. Last year we signed deals with Japan, Korea, and Canada. This year the sales have been okay, but the outlook for next year looks fantastic. So there's a lot of really, really good things going on, and finding the right partners, making sure that our products improving all the time, and making sure that our infrastructure on the back end is all ready for the growth. And I think that's something as well as when you go through business, being ready on the back end is as important as the front end. I mean, you can be the best sales guy in the world if you're not set up, things will crack. So we're really, really focused on the infrastructure as well.
Interesting. I think you touch on partners there. That seems like a really important part of your business as
Yeah.
well. Linking up with the right people and doing business the right way with those guys.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. I mean, when we know someone believes in what we do 100% and they understand the extent of what we can do, then technically there's no customer that isn't a customer. I mean, you saw the presentation we did on the 4 different products we offer. There isn't anyone who couldn't buy from us. And that's where once we get through to people and once they understand it, then they really go out and, find all sorts of options out with golf as well. I mean, 50 to 60% of our revenue and orders come from non-golf. So they may be a golf polo we're providing, but whether it's uniforms for other purposes, conferences, things like that, they're not being used on the golf course. So it's a big part of our business.
Awesome. I don't know if you can hear in the background there, but there's a massive storm that's just came in.
It's blue sky here, which sums up Bangkok as well. I mean, I think we're about 30 kilometers away, but it's bright blue sky. But normally around 6, 7 o'clock here, it starts pouring down. So
maybe it's heading your way.
Probably.
But listen, Michael, absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. Always great to chat. So if any golf clubs or companies want to check out your stuff, where's the best place for them to look?
So our website now is just relaunched. Actually, the online is set up, and we're working on the custom page as well. It's still operational, but it's www.fenixxl.com, and then the custom website is fenix-custom.com. And then we've also got all the social medias, which I'm completely useless on. But if you put in Fenix Excel, you'll find it on Instagram and Facebook and X as well. So we're on there. And we've got plenty of nice new products. The 2025 range will be out November 1st, and it is definitely the best collection we've ever done. So that's something to look out for.
Exciting stuff. Well, Michael, thanks again for the time, and looking forward to continuing our conversations as I figure out my way through the industry in Bangkok. So thanks again for your time.
Definitely.
Really looking forward to seeing your progress coming into.
And any help you ever need, just let me know. I'm more than happy to help. Thanks for having me on.